Hey YouTube, in today's episode we're starting to lay some curbs in Bricktown. Hey everyone and welcome to Brick Talk TV, hope you're well. In today's episode we're continuing our Bricktown rebuild series. If you missed any of the previous episodes in this series then do check out the link in the top right hand corner here to the playlist or in the description below. And do also hit that like button as it helps others see this video, and hit that subscribe button to join our ever growing LEGO community. But back to today's episode. If you remember at the end of our last episode we'd completed building the foundations of our paving or sidewalk areas around Bricktown. Those that saw that episode will remember we left 2 rows of studs exposed between the paving foundations and the new road plates themselves, and we left Bricktown looking like this. In today's episode we're going to be covering those studs up with curbs, so let's get back into the city and take a closer look at what we're going to be doing today. Here you can see how we left the paving before. We've got our white and dark bluish grey plates that are forming the foundations of our sidewalks, and our first task is actually to start laying some plates to cover up the exposed studs in the road plates themselves so that we level up the curb plates to the rear of the paving and the sidewalks of the foundations. To do this we're going to be using different size plates including 2x4s, 2x6s, 2x8s, 2x10s and mostly 2x12s, all in a light bluish grey colour. It's important at this time to use the right colour plate to match the colour that we'll be using for the curb tiles itself, so that we give the illusion that the curb is flowing right to the edge of the road. We're going to be laying our plates like this, connecting them onto the 2x4 plates that we use to connect the road plates to the paving foundations. You'll notice as I start to lay the various plates that every now and again I'm going to leave a 2x2 wide gap in the plates. This will allow us to give an illusion that there is a drain built into the side of the roads, and once we cover it with more plates and with tiles you'll see a really good effect that creates like this drain look, and you'll see this towards the end of the video. When we get to a corner in the road or paving, we're going to have to take 2 approaches, and it will depend whether the corner is on the outer or the inner side of the curve. Here you can see my approach for the outer curve on a road corner. We're going to be using this 4x4 curved plate, and sadly at the time of recording, LEGO Group don't actually produce these in light bluish grey, so instead I'm going to be using a black colour. If LEGO do release a light bluish grey colour in the future, and I'm sure they probably will given the amount that this colour is used in Star Wars sets, and at that point I'll switch out these black plates for light bluish grey ones. But for now we'll use the black, and in my mind it'll help create an illusion of a large drain gap in the corner. You'll also notice that we're going to ignore the pavement on the inner side of our street here, as we're actually going to reconstruct all the paving foundations on this side to allow us to include a cycle lane in this part of the Bricktown, and we'll probably do an episode on that build in our next episode in this series, so stay tuned for that. We're also leaving 2x4 gaps in our paving where we'll be putting pedestrian crossings, as we'll be adding a drop curb here to allow disabled minifigures to be able to easily get across the road. We'll be covering these in future episodes, so do hit that subscribe button to check out when we'll be doing road crossings. Next up we're going to be doing an inner corner, and to do that we're going to be using a 3x3 plate in light bluish grey with a curve on the outside. We'll allow 2 studs to align on each side of the curb on each corner, and we'll attach it with 1 stud like so. We'll then continue our plating, so we'll speed up our build quickly as we're going to be rebuilding some of the level crossing to align the level of the paving on the level crossing with the new paving foundations that we've added recently. that's all of our plating done now for all the new curbs. We've used a standard curb here for most of the town with the exception of the pedestrian crossing, and in the future videos we'll be modifying some of these curbs to allow us to include some lay-bys for some bus stops and also the cycle lane as I mentioned before. Now that we've got our curb foundations in place, we're going to be adding light bluish grey tiles for the curb on top. Here we're going to be using a mixture of 1x8s, 1x6s and some 1x4 and 1x2 tiles to cover up all of the curbs at the paving level. Most of these ones that I've got here have come from existing modular buildings, so I didn't need to buy too many extra to cover extra spaces. And you'll be seeing that there'll be now a gap on the base plates when we start to add the modulars in future episodes. So for now, let's get starting to lay the curb tiles. You'll see here at the outer curb we will be using a 4x4 macaroni tile in light bluish grey. You can also see here as we continue down the road where we left the 2x2 plate gaps, and as we add a tile over those gaps you can start to see the drains starting to form. So those small gaps act as the city drains. So that's all of our curb tiles now laid, and having a closer look here you can see the gaps or the drains more closely, and these remind me kind of the Stephen King's It film. You can also see a macaroni tile here with the black plate underneath. Again, I'll change this one day, but for now this kind of works for me and I'm happy with how it looks. So that's all of our curbs laid for today, and I'm pleased with how the city is shaping up, and in our next episode we'll be starting to build the cycle lane which sits right in the middle of the far square in the city. So do join me for that, and if you enjoyed this video do hit that like button so others get to see the video, and do hit that subscribe button with the bell notification turned on to be notified when we'll be doing the cycle lane video and when that hits the channel. And until next time, stay safe and I'll see you then.